Okay, sorry about that, guys. My internet went out. Okay, so let's keep things moving. We're almost done. We just need to get show, update, and delete. No problem. So when we have data up, this weird funky thing is showing up. And again, totally fine. Remember to actually access the stuff inside of it. We could do like description. Like, why aren't we using a for loop or anything? I'll explain why. So first, let's refresh the page. I get my donuts, I get my price. Cool. But, you know, why is this different than the index? You know, why is everything so different? Okay, just remember what actually we're passing to the front, right? And again, if you don't know, I have data set as food item, and I have it console logged here. So that's why I like console logging it, because then it like visually helps me. Okay, that's why I don't need a for loop, because it's literally just one object that we grabbed from up here. Okay, so that's the show page. Not a big issue. You can add HTML to style it and make it look pretty, but I could be like, maybe let's make it more readable. Maybe something like that. So then we see description, donuts, price $2. And then like the fancier you get, right, you can add images, you can add click events, you can add anything that you want. But I'm just worrying about the bare bones for now. So that's the show route. That's it. Cool. The next thing is going to be update and destroy. Let's start with destroy. It's fun just to remove something, right? Like if we know that our data is an array, we're already familiar with this, but we use like splice or slice, right, to remove an item from an array. So that's what we're going to do. Give me 1 second. Okay, so under destroy, I'm going to do update last, but again, we're going to start with router, because we're on the food controller page. If you're on your own server page, then it'll still be apt.get, right? This is still from when it was on the main server page. So your homework, it looks like, is all on the server stuff. That's totally fine. But we're going to use this delete route. So again, if it's successful, we'll see delete over here, and then that's how we know this route got hit. And I'm going to set up my route here. I want to delete it. How is it going to know? Just like we're able to show each individual element in the array, I want to specifically pinpoint this object in the array and remove that. Oh my gosh, syntax, so don't forget quotes. Function rec res, and in here, you see how I declared things.things by that ID. So you know what, I'm actually going to use that same variable. It helps me to manipulate data on food item rather than like constantly printing this thing out and it's like things.things everywhere and it's really confusing. Okay, so again, we already know what food item is. If we access this ID, then it knows that this is the item. All we're going to do in this case is basically use splice to remove the object from the array given the index value. Okay, so food item dot splice. I think JJ had a question about this before. If you look up documentation, splice takes two parameters. The first one being the index number. So it has to be a number. Actually, both parameters have to be a number. The first one is the index value, and the second one is like how many elements in the array after this index value do you want to remove. So in this case, we're going to pass it rec.params ID because we wanted to splice at that index value. How many do we want to remove? One. I don't know, if you have a crazy app and if you delete one thing, you want to delete the next 10 things because you're evil or whatever, then put 10 or something. But we're just going to do one. And just to save some time, at this point, you should know to close the cycle, right? We still need to send a response to it. And that's when we do res.redirect. And we'll send it back to the main /food page. If you want to send it back to like the main roots, then sure, like send it over there. You're the one that tells it where to go. Okay. And you know what? Just to understand what's going on, let's console log. Delete route is accessed. Removing, what are we removing? So console logs go in order. Let's do it after we splice it. And we're removing food item. Oh, is it because it's gone? I forget. Okay, we're here. All right, cool. So we did the route, but obviously we don't even have the thing on the page. So it's up to you wherever you want to put it. Let's put it on our index page. Why not? Sure. So let's go to our index view. And again, just so we know what our index view looks like, it looks like this. So for each one, we have the description and price. And you know what? Let's add a delete button with this as well. The delete button, it will always have to be inside a form because that's where the action is attached, right? So let's just build out our simple form for now. Our inputs are always going to be in here. This will be another submit button. Value will be the words in it. Delete. You know what? You want to be fancy? Let's delete the name of our thing. Save, and I'll just refresh to make sure these buttons show up. Cool, right? Delete hamburger, delete donuts. That's cool. All right, now clicking on this stuff does nothing. It's like, what? I don't know what to do. It's because we didn't specify the action. So the action, again, it's saying what? This is going to the controllers. It's going to say which route and which method, which route and which verb am I going to do. So we're going to go to food. I forget. Just double check. It goes to wherever we set it on our server. So we're saying go to /food. I'm always like, is it /food, /foods, /food. We want to go to the index, and this is just handlebar syntax at, like you can just Google syntax if you're not sure. I'm going to finish this in a second. We're also going to put our method, right? So forms can only put and post, I believe. You can't do things like delete or anything, and that's why we're going to have to override it with a delete method. Colin put some really good notes. There's like quite a long description of why we have to use method override, but we do. So there's a few things going on here, right? We have our route set up in our food.js, so we're building the view. But then lastly, I'm going to make sure that the method override is installed properly. But I don't have 10 hands, so we'll just do it one by one. And this is the method equals delete. That means we're going to send a post request. It'll say post, but what it's actually going to do, instead of posting, it's actually going to do this delete action. So let's save that. You know what? Let's run it. Let's see what it does. I refresh the page. I click delete. So here you go, right? Just like we said, it's going to send a post route because that's what we asked it to do. And it's looking for this route. And remember, if you see cannot whatever, that means the route doesn't exist, which is no bueno. But we can confirm, like, wait a minute, but we did do that, right? So again, if you understand like your app as a whole, then we know to go to server.js. It's because we don't have method.override anywhere. So it's like, I don't know what to do. So this is where I will go back and redeclare this. Again, like if you want to go ahead and set all this stuff up, no problem. If you understand what everything's doing, go for it. But this is just for demonstration purposes, I suppose. No, I don't want that. Again, this could be called anything, but I just want to be consistent with your notes and all that. The way we require is the same way as we download it. What? No. which looks like this. And before I even use it or anything, I'm going to go to my package.json. Exactly. As I saved it, look, I already got this, right? We're getting the same error, cannot find module method override. And I can confirm, yep, I don't have it at all. So we're going to shut down our server. We're going to install it. And now we could see it updates here. I'm going to run my server. And there are no errors anymore, okay? So don't worry if you get an error message, just know where to look. Okay, so one more thing, you know, we require it, but then we also have to use it, right? And I saved myself a comment here, so cool. Like, thank you, me. App.use. Again, you can refer to your notes for this if you don't have to memorize it at all. Okay. Oh, ran a mess. Okie doke. Let's go back to our main page. Click on this route. And let's check out this error message. So at least we don't get cannot post, right? So I didn't even touch my food.js, right? So it actually was not an error with the route. I'm going to close server because we properly required method override. And these are the two files I'm working on right now. But anyway, let's check this out. Type error food item.splice is not a function. And it tells you here, it's in controllers food.js line 75. And that is right here. Give me 1 second. Oh my gosh, I'm so, I gave you wrong info. Splice has to be on an array, right? I even told you that this whole object was an object, so I'm silly. Like, we're actually gonna splice it off of the things.things array, which I like mentioned 20 times, so sorry for that. So let's re-access this again. And there we go. Did that error message make sense? It said splice doesn't work. So that means there's an error with food item, and the way I declared food item was totally wrong. If you don't know what food item is, I guess I should have put food item like up here, so I know exactly what I'm dealing with. But at least I have it here, right? Removing, and then it's an array. And it deleted this whole thing, and that's why it's gone. And why is it gone? Like, how does that even work? Like, what is this magic? Nope. As soon as you splice it, your array, you know what? This is a good point. What happens? Like, why is this even working? Let's check out things.things. All right, because this is the array. So this is our new array. I'm actually going to shut this off so we can get both examples. And I'm going to refresh this so I get my hamburger back. But I'm going to press delete hamburger. Okay, so this is our new array. As soon as I press that button, and after I spliced it, I'm able to pinpoint what exactly went away. But then I also want to know exactly what is our new data looking like, which is things.things. So this is our new array. It only has one item. Okay, so since we were redirecting back to food, right, and we can see here it got a get request for food. Again, just like pretend you're the computer. Okay, if I go to /food, I'm actually rendering things.things. So if things.things is only one thing now, that's why only that one shows up. Cool. So if you have, like, I guess in your Pokemon or your 200 or whatever, or I guess 6 or whatever, check it out. Check exactly what you're manipulating, console log it everywhere, see how your different routes and your different actions manipulate this data. That's all this is, manipulating data and showing it on the page. So that's our delete. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Okay, cool.
Yeah, can I see the server GS?
Yes.
Where you put the method override?
Yep.
Okay.
So to push the method override.
And then use it later on.
And
use.
Yeah, use.
Method override. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and I put a comment from yesterday.
Okay.
Okay.
And why is placed in the server GS and not in the food GS?
So that since this is our main JavaScript file, kind of like how our layout, you know, why does index work? Well, because this code gets injected to this main file. That's why we could still see all this stuff. Kind of the same with this JavaScript. We're basically have one huge JavaScript file, but instead of putting all our routers here, we just injected, or I guess extrapolated all the routers into another file. So technically it's still one big JavaScript file. So that's why I put it like on our main JavaScript page.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you are only define it and declare it as that you are going to be using, and it will apply to anything else depending of it.
Yep.
Okay.
And I guess to like really visualize this, because your homework doesn't involve controllers, but it's basically the same as if I just get all this stuff without the router, if it just was app, and then I pasted it onto my server. It's all still the same routes, but I just put it in a separate folder. Just as we get more complex, it's easier for me to separate my concerns. Okay, cool. All right, so let's move on to update, and I'll be able to set up CSS real fast, and then you guys can enjoy the rest of your weekend. Okay, so far so good, right? So our update, remember what verb this is associated with. This is a put request. So we've dealt with delete, which is actually a post. Oh no, there's a delete here. We dealt with get. We're totally familiar with that. Now this will be our first time we're using put. Let's see how this behaves. I'll leave that there. So router.put, again, we want to access, since we want to manipulate, like if we want to manipulate donuts, we want just donut stuff showing up. That's why we're accessing it by ID again. Look, I lied. I said I would do this in an hour. It's just impossible. For me, at least. I talk too much. Okay, so again, I like declaring variables. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to call this food. Again, whatever you call it, just be very mindful of how you're going to use it, whether on the console or whether on your render page. But this is just like stretch your brains a little bit. I'm going to call this foods, and now we know things.things is an array. You know what? Just to like get a new way of like coding this stuff. Var ID, I'm going to set this equal to rec.params.id. And cool. So here what I'm going to do, since my food is an array, I'm going to declare food. I want to access my array based on the ID I get from rec.params.id. And I want that object, that description, so I'm going to do dot description. You know, I'm just going to leave that there for now. I'll keep building it. Same thing, the same object, but instead of description, we have one other value, so price, okay? Now let me fill it up. What is this new ID description going to be? You know, just like in regular objects, we can rewrite or redeclare those values, key value pairs. We're doing the same thing over here. So instead of whatever it is, we're now going to declare it to be a new value of, what are we doing? rec.body.description. So it's saying whatever I put in my form, which I don't have yet, I'm now going to want that the value of rec.body.description is going to be my new description. Same thing with price. I want it to be rec.body.price. And to end our request response cycle, let's let's redirect. Let's redirect back to our home page, right? So that we can see our changes. And this should just be food. All right, yeah, resurrect food. And you know what? Let's do a console log. Edit route is accessed. So I know that my route is working. Even if I get errors, and at least I know this part is okay. Okay, so I guess you kind of see how I work. I like building out the route before I work on the view. Again, if you already have all your files set up, awesome. If not, no problem. I don't forget the handlebars extension this time. And here you go. Did I ask it to render? No, I didn't. Oh, you know what? This is I'm like a step ahead, right? I don't even have the form. So the edit route is a two-part process as well. So you know what? I can't really do anything with this right now. I have to actually build this first part, which is the edit route, right? That's where my render stuff happens. This is like the behind the scenes action, but I have to be able to see it first. So, all right, no problem. Let's go back and build this. This is a GET request, meaning we're gonna have a view page for this stuff, all right? Because put just means, hey, do this, whatever I ask it to do. So we actually need to render this page. So we're gonna be accessing it by ID, right? I'm gonna put under here, right? We get it by ID, and this is another GET route, but you know what? I wanted to edit this route. And just to prove a point, let's access this. So if I do food, you know, let's restart this. I don't like just one item. It's like food one, right? So we go here, but let's say I go to an edit page. I get my hey route, so I know this works. So here we go, food, wildcard / edit, wildcard / edit. If I went to one, it showed the correct page. If you're not getting the view that you want, make sure your routes are in order. Again, this is why I like to just pre-populate my routes here in terms of what verb they're doing. Okay, so anyway, we know it works, so let's build this out. I was saying we need a render page, right? So I have it here now, so it's going to be food / edit. It knows it's handlebars because that's the only edit file I have. We're going to pass in an object. Again, just drill in your brain. Second parameter is always an object with render. Gonna switch things up again. I'm an inconsistent programmer, no bueno, but it's all fine as long as you know how to beat through this. So I'm gonna call this food at this time. Food itself is gonna be yet another object. Okay, it's objects within objects within objects within objects within objects. Oh my gosh! But what we're gonna say is this new food. I have my description. I have my price, right? That's just part of it. Description and price. You know what? I'm also going to declare ID. You know, just like down here, I declared ID. It's just easier for me rather than like typing out rec.params each time. So if I ever need ID, at least I could just put that. So unlike down here, right, I save things into variables. I'm just showing you varieties, ways of doing this. I'm going to do this long-handed route. So I want to go to my things.things, which is my array. I'm going to access it by my ID, which I'm going to do longhand again. So now I'm in my the object that I want, but I want to access the description. Oh, it's a comma for an object. Same thing with price. So things.things rec.params.id.price. Oh gosh, syntax. Okay, so that's my routes. Let's fill out an actual form though, right? We don't have anything here. This will be like our last piece, and then I think we're done. So you know what? Let's put like a header or something. Edit. What are we sending? Food. I'm sending food, and it's this object. Okay. So you know, let's edit food.description. Like, let's be fancy. Let's see if that works. I'm going to reload this page. Edit donuts. Great. Awesome. So I know that my render works. I set up this route properly. I'm actually not going to touch this anymore because this is all we need, but let's just make sure we're calling things right in between our server and our view. So let's build this out. This is another form. Your edit and form, so I'll write this here. Edit and new have forms. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is not JavaScript. So there we go. Edit and new have forms. These are the two that have forms. Okay, let's just build our basic form. We're gonna put in, It's going to be a text box name. Remember, rec.body refers to this. It'll look for the name description. So if your rec.body dot whatever isn't matching, double check that you spelled these properly and that they match. The value goes in quotes as well. And the value, we're going to assign it to whatever the name is. And let's close this. And you know, I'm lazy. Let's do the same thing for price, right? So if we understand how the new form works, same thing here, except we're adding this value thing, and I'll explain why. And our last thing that we need always is our submit button. Otherwise, the information sits on the page and nothing happens. So you know, let's say delete, and let's be fancy again. Food dot description, I guess. Why not? Okay. So this is our form. Now remember, you know, I'll refresh the page so you can see the button and stuff. Okay, here we go. So you see the value, it took the values and it pre-populated them. These are real data. It's not like placeholder, right, where you can't change like the placeholder name. It literally will populate the actual information. Oh my gosh. Okay. If we click this, nothing's going to happen, right? So let's add in our form methods and actions. So now that we feel a little bit better about actions, right, we want it to go to food, I think it was food slash, we want it to hit the ID route, right? We want it to go, so I'm going to start from the top just to cement this, because this will be my last example. It basically looks at server.js. It looks for /food, which it stops here. It says, okay, you know what? There's no routes down here. Let me access it in my food controller. So I go to my food controller. Now I want /ID, right? Because that's what I'm building out here. I want it to go to my food.id, which I said was the rec.params. So again, food/ID. So at this point, it's going to hit here, right? This get versus this get. But I'm going to finish it off by making sure it hits this get route, not this one. And that's why we will end it with, I think I lied to you again. Actually, I think we're not hitting this route. I'm sorry, we are hitting this route. So it ends at /ID. Again, I went reverse, so I'm confusing myself. So food/ID, that's all this is. Again, since forms are like finicky and it doesn't do what we want it to do, we have to add this method override. So this is going to be a put. And lastly, our method. So again, like put doesn't work here. It doesn't work with forms. So we have to override this whole thing. It's actually a post, but it's going to put instead. All right, let's test it out. We're not quite done yet. Okay, it works. It still shows up. Okay, nothing really happened. If I press delete, donuts is still here. Okay. But at least we got our edit route is accessed, right? Just to make sure our routes are matching. Like, don't be too ahead of yourself. Where is that console log? Right here. Edit route is accessed. Cool. So these two are working hand in hand. But anyway, let's finish out our edit form. What we wanted to do is, oh wait, no, you know what? That is it. That is it. That I am confusing myself. We're done with our edit form. This is all we have to do. Making sure we have our 2 text boxes, our delete, and making sure our action and method are correct. So you know what? Let's put this in action. Edit, right? I want to edit this. Maybe I want to charge like a $200 donut. As soon as I press that submit button, which is right here, it will find that put request into food/wildcard. So again, on our food controller, it's going to look for .put. Here we go. Edit route is accessed right here. And then it'll update all the new things and I have it redirecting it back to our home page. That's why it goes back here, and it got updated. You could put links to like go to the actual page. I think you guys can figure that out. But if I press delete, you know, let's see for delete, route works, cool. You know, my console logs are all happy. I forgot what that was, got deleted, my donut, and if I delete my hamburger, it's gone. If I want to add a new item, right, we have our new form. Maybe I want to add a pizza, and it's also $1. I press that. It redirects to my home page, and I get that. If I want to delete this one, is it this, I think? No, is it this? I can change this to pizza pepperoni. Ugh, I can't spell, whatever. Oh, there we go. I did that. One thing you guys didn't call me out on is, did I call this delete? It's not delete. It's update. That's why I confused myself. I thought it was in delete again. Okay, now this is right. Update. That's why I was like, wait, why is it not working? If I make this $1 million, I don't know how many zeros that is. Now we have $1 million pepperoni pizza. I don't want it anymore. It's gone. At this point, this is full CRUD. We did everything. We have a fully functioning app. Any questions so far with update and delete? I apologize for going backwards for this stuff. But yeah, you wanna get your render out first so that you can like figure out how to make this information go in your put route. It's pointless to like put up the code without like understanding how it interacts with the page. But there we go. I'm gonna delete this though, just to have this code online. And there you go, we have a full functioning CRUD route. The final thing I'm just gonna touch upon is our CSS, right? So we're done with the controllers. We're done with the views. Final thing I'm gonna demonstrate is our public folder. So our public folder, this is where any public assets, meaning our browser will have full access to this stuff. Because right now our browser, I don't think it has access to any of our server stuff. That would be very dangerous if like someone can just like come into our controller.js like and mess everything up. So you can have like public JavaScript files if you want, right? If you want to do like cool animations or who knows, whatever you want to make it to do. But we have a public folder slot here. I'll just put it up here. Again, the syntax, refer to your notes. That's where I'm getting from. This is public. Convention says call it public, but you can call it anything you want. Just make sure you're actually linking it properly. But public is best practice at this point. So right now I don't have that public file, so I'm going to do that bad thing and just click new folder and call this public. So cool, I have my public folder. It's empty right now, but you know what? Let's go ahead and put a new folder in here. Let's call it CSS, right? In our index page, we used to have like a CSS folder. So we're recreating that. Same thing. I have a CSS, and just like we did in there, we're gonna put an actual CSS file in there. I'm gonna call it style.css. You know what, like the first thing I do to just check if it connects is just like set my body to something. I'll call it like papaya whip. Papaya whip. Okay, and save it. So to recap, all I did was make sure I use and declare my public folder. Actually have that public folder. Put a CSS folder in it. You can put it just a file, but again, you're probably gonna have more scripts, more view, I don't know, whatever in here. So you wanna put it in a folder just to keep it organized. And then I put some scripts in here. Now this is not gonna render because I don't have it linked anywhere, right? So again, remember our layout is our main page, our main index page. So this is where we'll put our style sheet. Well, that's not the right one. I think it's link. Link. Give me one sec. Just want to make sure you're linking this properly. Okay, so CSS, it already knows it's public. Okay, so it's going to look in the folder called CSS and the style.css. You can leave this stuff. It doesn't bother me. Did I lie? Did I save this? Oh, shit. You guys, it's not body, body. Background.
At this, I think it also needs a semicolon at the end.
Thank you. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, there we go. We have our papaya whip. So now you know any styling, you just do it as normal, right? I think on our index page we have, okay, that's kind of boring. Okay, sure, LI, I don't know. LI, display, what do you call it? Display, how do we get the bullet points to disappear? Display.
Was this something like, was it text decoration or is that for links?
Text decoration is for text. My brain is just farting. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's display none, but oh gosh, that's not right. That'll just hide the whole thing. Or maybe, you know what? I forgot what it is already, but let's put like a margin of like, I don't know, 30 pixels. And there you go. Yeah, you see, you could just put CSS just like normal. If you want to wrap all this stuff with like divs, make like pretty boxes, put hover events, put pictures, that's where you'll do it under CSS. Not too bad. Cool. Any questions about public or how to link up our CSS file? Again, it only goes on our main layout page right here, and it'll apply to all the subsequent view files, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. Cool. So I'm going to stop sharing. That concludes today. We've got full CRUD running from scratch, and we were able to view our CSS on the page. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.